This video was intended to inform and educate the public.
Welcome back to the Junkyard News. In today's news story, we're going to be talking about two indictments, important indictments, in the first ever criminal charges filed over the failed response to Uvalde back in 2022. That's right, a grand jury has indicted two former Uvalde school police officers in the botched law enforcement response to the 2022 incident at Robb Elementary School that left 19 plus 2 no longer with us. Two Texas state government sources with knowledge of the indictment told news agencies last Thursday. Former Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District Police Chief Pete Arredondo and former school police officer Adrian Gonzales were named in the indictments, which represent the first criminal charges filed in the school incident. Now, Arredondo surrendered himself to the custody of the Texas Rangers in Uvalde back on Thursday. An official with the Texas Department of Public Safety told news agencies. The former police chief was booked on 10 counts of child endangerment and known criminal negligence, according to the indictment. Arredondo was then released on bond, according to the county jail. Now, Officer Gonzales was booked into the Uvalde County Jail early last Friday afternoon, the Uvalde news agencies reported, citing Uvalde County Sheriff's Office Chief Deputy Brandon McCutcheon. Now, at the time, the Uvalde County District Attorney's Office is not planning to file any more indictments in the botched response to the incident, according to family members who have spoken directly to the district attorney. Now, the former chief faces 10 felony charges of child endangerment for failing to recognize the incident as an active incident and for failing to take proper action to intervene. The indictment says that these behaviors placed each child in imminent danger of bodily injury, death, physical impairment, and mental impairment. Now, Gonzales also faces felony charges for abandoning and endangering a child. Now, earlier this year, the U.S. Justice Department released a damning report that concluded law enforcement officers had many opportunities to reassess their flawed response to the May 24, 2022 incident at Robb Elementary School. Bursts of gunfire, reports a teacher had been shot, and then a desperate call from students trapped with the gunman could and should all have prompted a drive to stop the incident far sooner than it did. Instead, it took 77 minutes from when the suspect walked into the school until he was stopped. The carnage remains among the worst episodes in America's ongoing scourge of campus incidents. Critical failures in leadership among specific law enforcement officers who rushed the school are cited by the Justice Department, whose 575-page report was released nearly 20 months after the incident. Now, the chief was fired back in August of 2022 for his role in the failed response. In May, his replacement, Joshua Gutierrez, submitted his resignation, and his last day on the job was back on Wednesday. Now, Officer Gonzales, who had been with the school district police since 2021 and previously with Uvalde police since 2009, had told investigators that he was at the high school when he heard a report of a vehicle incident at the school and went to check. Gonzales, who said he was one of the first officers to arrive, heard shots and entered the south hallway along with Arredondo. Gonzales said he tried to call for the SWAT team on his radio but could not transmit inside the school building, so he left. Once I got out to get radio reception, I never went back in, he told investigators. While the suspect was unchallenged inside the school, Gonzales said he spent much of his time waiting with emergency medics outside the west door. State Senator Ronald Gutierrez told news agencies Thursday he believed that the Texas Department of Public Safety also bears substantial responsibility for the failed law enforcement response and should have been included in the indictments. He is quoted as saying, "This is nothing but a whitewash of the most tragic incident in our history, or at least one of them, and certainly the worst officer-involved response to an incident like this in our nation's history. And all of it falls in the hands of the Department of Public Safety and its director, Steve McGraw." Now, school employees and victims of the shooting that survived began their testimony before the grand jury back in March, shortly after the Uvalde City Council released an independent report clearing all local officers of any wrongdoing.
Oh, there's a big surprise! That's an incredible... I think I'm gonna have a heart attack and die from that surprise!
The independent investigator hired by the city reported his findings at a packed city council meeting, saying all the officers who responded to the school from the Uvalde Police Department acted in good faith and should be exonerated.
Nice.
The finding sparked a fury of many victims, parents, and community members who have said for nearly 2 years that some should not be absolved. Less than a week after the release of his report, Uvalde Police Chief Daniel Rodriguez abruptly announced he would resign, effective April 6, saying it was time for a new chapter in his career. Now, the Justice Department report dismissed the early official narrative of brave first responders saving lives that day and said many victims shared that it added to their pain during a challenging time. The report found ample problems also emerged after the gunman was dispatched, from getting students away from the school and reuniting them with families to how parents had been told that their children were not come home. The report describes the quick arrival of law enforcement officers who ran towards the sound of gunfire, but immediately stopped once they got near the classrooms where the suspect was harming fourth graders and educators. That decision ran counter to widely established active shooter response protocol, which instructs law enforcement to move forward and eliminate any threat. Instead, the intensity level dropped as responders began to treat the situation as a barricaded suspect. And treating it as a barricaded suspect operation, it did not need immediate action, even as more officers arrived and the signals of ongoing danger multiplied. It was the single most critical tactical failure the team from the Justice Department's Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services found. Now, some of you watching this video may think, oh, these guys are going to get off. Police have no duty to protect anybody. That is true, but that mostly falls on the civil side, in civil lawsuits. That does not hold a lot of weight when it comes to criminal prosecutions. So now we get to wait and see if this police chief and officer, who just may be the sacrificial lambs in all this, are found guilty or innocent, and what their punishment will end up being if they are found guilty. Do you think the ex-police chief and officer are going to get a pass? Do you think a jury has enough cojones to actually find these ex-officers guilty and hold them responsible for the entire failure that unfolded that tragic day? Again, comment what you think. Thank you again for watching this episode of the Junkyard News. Be careful out there, people, because one of these shows, one of these videos, we may be talking about you in the next one. Thanks again.
Videos uploaded by the Junkyard News are helped in part by viewers just like you. You can show your support for this channel by clicking the thumbs up, sharing our videos, or hitting that all-important support button on our channel page. Don't want to miss a video or a story? Make sure to check us out and like us on Facebook at The Junkyard News.